Hello and welcome to the very first No More Nice Girl Accountability AF Hour. We had a really great session with two people who did come, and I want to honor their privacy and not give out that recording. But I do want to record this training, this little mini training from Change to Choices for everyone else out there and those who couldn't make it to get a replay. And um, a little gift that'll come along with this as well if everyone is so inclined. So, to kind of get started, if you have not been exposed to me yet, my name is Becky. I'm a married mom of four amazing kids, ages 22, 13, 9, and 3. Yes, I did that on purpose. Yes, I was a young mom. And yes, that is a part of my story. I was raised by a narcissistic, high functioning alcoholic, and my mother was his enabler until the day that she died. She died entrusting her care to his narcissistic tendencies, which did not go so well. I went no contact with my father 6 years ago, and in doing so, I knew that I would also lose access to my mother. Again, she was an adult, and that was her choice. I have no regrets because it saved my own mental health and it saved my children from having to deal with that toxic environment. 100%. One I would do again. Do I absolutely grieve for the relationships and the things that were lost? I do 100%. And I would never make light of that grief. But at the same time, that was the best choice for my family and for my own mental health. One thing about me growing up, and the one lesson that my father did give me was to either marry well or go to college because I'm not going to leave you shit. Literally, that is what I heard growing up the whole time. Well, I did both. At about the age of 14, I realized something was horribly wrong with my family, and I said, I'm going to get a degree in psychology to figure that out. Needless to say, the degree did not get me the separation and the clarity that I needed. Neither did years of therapy, by the way. But with some time and with honestly, the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back, I absolutely had to make the decision to go no contact with my father because it was affecting the health of one of my children. She has a rare disease called Hermansky-Pudlak syndrome. One day she will need a lung transplant. So, as her mother, it is my job to make sure that her lungs are as healthy as possible for as long as possible. And my father is a smoker. My father was a smoker. And one of the constant fights we would have all the time was about him having come to my home, having smoked a cigarette, and the dangers of secondhand smoke. By that time, we had long since stopped going to his house. And that last conversation with him ended in me telling him to go to hell. And to my horror, my other daughter, my 3-year-old, was watching that conversation and watched me throw a phone across the room. And at that point that I made the decision that this was done. I was over with this. Um, Again, I've had years of therapy. I have a psychology degree myself. I've worked in corrections. I've worked in community mental health spaces. I'm a special education advocate. I've been a school board member. So a lot of this type of work is very near and dear to me. So that is my story. Thank you for watching this. And the whole intent of the No More Nice Girl hour is having a space where we don't want it to be just a bitch and vent session. I absolutely want people to feel safe and to be able to come here and be heard. But then the whole point is to say, okay, now what are we going to do about it? Because we don't want to live in our victimhood. There are plenty of people who do that, and it's not doing you any good. It's not doing your children any good or the people around you that you serve. Um, so this is a space where there is a need for realization and to make unapologetic action 100%. And this is something that I intend on doing monthly. Um, so the mini training that I had for today was to kind of talk about, and the title, a little dramatic, but it's Change to Choices. Um, and I was definitely going for the visual effect, like you are literally in chains when you are not respecting yourself and your self-worth and the boundaries that you put in place. So there were 3 topics that I wanted to cover. And the first one being the nice girl trap that keeps you stuck and what it takes to really break free. And I want to talk about the difference between a request and a boundary, and if you've heard me speak before, this is something that I speak about quite frequently. And it is that a request is just that, it's a request. You ask somebody to do something. A boundary is where you ask somebody to do something that, or not do something that might make you uncomfortable or you just don't like or isn't appropriate, but there has to be action based upon that. So a request from me to my father was, please don't come to my house having smoked a cigarette because you're exposing my daughter to secondhand smoke. The boundary is, if you come to my house having smoked a cigarette, you will not come to my house anymore. And then following through on that, because when you make those types of requests, boundaries with actionable steps, and you don't follow through, particularly if you're dealing with a narcissistic or toxic person, that just emboldens them to continue that behavior. So no more nice girl. It's super hard because, especially when it's your parent, it's a partner, someone you're very close with, it is very freaking uncomfortable to put boundaries into place. But you have to, because that no more nice, that nice girl crown that you're wearing is only going to lead to resentment, which takes me to my second point of resentment is the receipt that you are writing yourself from engaging in these behaviors. So you might have your nice girl crown, but inside you're seething and you're pissed off all the time because you're being trampled on. You don't have the balls to speak up for yourself. And now you're in this place of, why can't they just? No, why don't you just? And yes, this is absolutely some tough love. And this is how I roll. I'm absolutely empathetic to this. And trust me, I went through this back and forth for many, many years with my father, but it took a long time for me to get from point A to point B. Um, Abandoning yourself and your worth and your boundaries is not a kindness to yourself, to your children, or to anyone else. It is a cage, and it's a cage of your own construction. And that's something that you would really want to sit with. And the third thing that I wanted to leave with in this little mini training is guilt versus regret. One is temporary, the other will last a lifetime. Choose wisely. You can have guilt over setting the boundary, and you're going to, and you're going to have grief. Regret is something that is going to be around forever because there's going to come a point where there are going to be things that you can't take back. You wish you could have made a statement, and you're not going to be able to do so. It's your choice in what space that you want to live. And continuing the nice girl persona is definitely something that comes with consequences. And it's whether or not you want to choose to make those consequences. And you are an adult and you are totally within your right to make that choice. Just be prepared to have that receipt of resentment, that receipt of shame, all of those things. And I'm not saying that to guilt or to shame anyone, but these are your options. And at some point, you have to shit or get off the pot. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. You don't owe anyone anything, and you also don't owe anyone, the cost of setting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. I tell people very unapologetically that I live by the three F's. If you're not feeding me, financing me, or in my bed, I don't owe you anything. And that's kind of how I've lived my life, and it's been pretty good so far then. So um, I do have some reflection questions to kind of throw out there into the ether. And if you feel so inclined, take some time, journal on it, think about it, and let me know. If you're watching this on YouTube or somewhere else that I've posted it, hey, I'd love to hear from you also. Um, where is one place in your life where you're being nice instead of being honest? And sit with that one for a minute. Number two, what's one boundary that you've avoided because you fear someone's reaction? I avoided putting that boundary into place with my father for many, many years. And it got to a place where it probably didn't need to get as ugly and as explosive as it did had I not acted on it sooner. So Some food for thought there. And then number three, what would you do differently if guilt were not running the show for you? Who would you be? Where would you go? What would you accomplish if you didn't feel so guilty all of the time and holding this nice girl crown? I don't know, but you tell me. So, um, join us next time. I hope to see everyone who was with us earlier back and to have new friends come on. Um, and I do have my one-to-one coaching offer, and I do have an application for that for the summer. And that will be going out either with this replay or in the notes or wherever it may end up. But until then, no more nice girl. Be you, be strong, and don't set yourself on fire to keep anyone else warm because they're not worth it. But you, my dear, my darling, absolutely are. Have a good one.